Lil Woody has finally come forward with shocking revelations that flip the narrative the world thought they knew. He insists that he never willingly snitched on Young Thug, but instead acted under Thug's request. He says he only kept quiet out of respect for the street code, but now he's fed up because while Thug has been apologizing to everyone else, he never once acknowledged Woody. This left Woody feeling betrayed, abandoned, and unfairly branded as a snitch. This is the full story behind that bombshell revelation, the layers of loyalty, betrayal, and survival at play, and how this change is one of the most controversial chapters in hip-hop history. To understand why this is such a monumental revelation, we have to go back to the beginning. The YSL RICO case wasn't just a legal battle. It was a cultural earthquake. In 2022, Young Thug, Gunna, and over 24 associates were indicted under Georgia's sweeping RICO laws. Prosecutors claimed that YSL wasn't just a record label, but a criminal enterprise responsible for everything from violent crimes to drug trafficking. The hip-hop world froze. One of the biggest stars in the game, a pioneer of Atlanta's sound, suddenly faced a fight of his life. And in the middle of it all were his so-called brothers, friends, artists, and affiliates who the state claimed were part of his empire. That's where the real story began. Who would stand tall? Who would fold? And who would betray the very code that hip-hop and the streets hold sacred? When the infamous footage of Lil Woody in an interrogation room surfaced, everything changed. The clip went viral instantly. In the video, Woody appeared to be giving information to law enforcement, talking in a way that looked like he was cooperating. To the streets, there's no greater sin than snitching. Overnight, Woody's name became synonymous with betrayal. Memes mocked him, rappers distanced themselves, and fans wrote him off. The label of snitch stuck to him like a scarlet letter. No one wanted to hear explanations. No one cared about context. Woody was crucified in the court of public opinion before he even had a chance to defend himself. But according to Woody himself, that entire narrative was a lie. In his shocking new statement, Woody insists that he never went into that interrogation room on his own agenda. He claims Young Thug himself told him to do it. According to Woody, Thug said, "Play the game. Say what you gotta say. Keep the heat off me." In other words, Woody was instructed to act as a decoy, to be the one who looked like he folded, while Thug's name stayed as clean as possible in the moment. Woody took that role seriously, carrying the weight of being hated so that the bigger picture could stay intact. And for a long time, he was okay with it. He kept the secret, never defending himself publicly, because the street code demanded silence. In his mind, he was protecting the boss, protecting YSL, protecting the man whose vision had built the empire in the first place. But silence is heavy, and it became unbearable when the very man he protected turned his back on him. While sitting behind bars, Thug began sending messages out to the public. He apologized to family, to the streets, even to Gunna, whose own snitch allegations had rocked the culture. But not once did Thug mention Woody. For Woody, that was the ultimate betrayal. He had taken a hit for Thug. He had let the world destroy his name. He had played the role Thug asked him to play. And yet, when it came time for acknowledgement, his name was left out completely. That was the breaking point. That was the moment Woody decided he was done being silent. Woody's decision to break the code and tell his side wasn't made lightly. For months, even years, he lived under the stigma of being the rat of YSL. Friends turned their backs. Enemies used his name as ammo, and the streets marked him as untrustworthy. Still, he swallowed it all because he thought he was serving a bigger purpose. But when the person who gave the order, Thug, refused to show loyalty back, Woody realized silence had no reward. The code, he says, was never meant to be one-sided. Loyalty is supposed to go both ways. So now, Woody is reclaiming his narrative. He's no longer willing to be the fall guy. Instead, he's putting the truth out there, no matter how ugly it makes the situation. The hip-hop world is already split on Woody's revelation. Some fans argue that his explanation makes sense, that he deserves to clear his name after being unfairly branded for so long. They see him not as a snitch, but as a soldier who carried out orders and got abandoned. Others argue that no matter the excuse, talking to police is talking to police. In their eyes, Woody's words don't erase the fact that he sat in that interrogation room and spoke. But either way, one thing is undeniable. Woody has changed the narrative. He's no longer just the snitch. He's the man with a story, the man pointing the finger back at Thug himself. For young Thug, this revelation could not come at a worse time. He's still locked in a legal battle, still fighting for his life against prosecutors who want to bury him under the jail. And now, one of his closest affiliates has flipped the narrative and put the blame back on him. If fans begin to believe Woody, it cracks the carefully crafted image Thug has maintained. Instead of being the loyal leader betrayed by his soldiers, he becomes a manipulator who used loyalty as a weapon, then abandoned those who carried out his orders. That kind of perception can be deadly, not just in court, but in the streets and in the culture. At its core, Woody's story is about loyalty and betrayal. For years, hip-hop has glorified the street code, the idea that real ones never snitch, never fold, never break under pressure. But the reality is always messier. When lives, freedom, and millions of dollars are on the line, the code is often the first thing to crumble. Woody's revelation forces us to ask uncomfortable questions. What does loyalty mean if the boss can sacrifice a soldier? Is silence worth it if the person you protect refuses to protect you back? And most importantly, who decides who's really guilty of betrayal? The one who talks or the one who asked him to? The YSL RICO case has already gone down as one of the most dramatic sagas in hip-hop history. But Woody's revelation adds another twist, one that will echo for years. He's no longer content to be remembered as the snitch. He's fighting to be remembered as the man who carried out orders, kept quiet for as long as he could, and finally broke his silence when loyalty wasn't returned. And whether people love him or hate him for it, one thing is undeniable. Woody has shifted the entire narrative. The so-called snitch is now the whistleblower of a deeper betrayal. The man accused of folding is now accusing the boss of using him like a pawn. And that means a YSL story, already tangled with drama, betrayal, and survival, just got messier than ever.